Alright, just to go over what we did in the last lesson, we're thinking positions, which means 4 fingers, 4 frets, and we're trying to play what we call a chromatic scale through the whole range of the guitar. And a chromatic scale just means all 12 notes in an octave played one after another. So we're essentially going to go to the next octave and then repeat it and repeat it. There's a couple of different ways through this. Our first exercise was just playing in the first position, which means your first finger on the first fret, and every other position. If I said fourth position, it would be my first finger on the 4th fret. We're going to play open E string, and then we're going to play 1, 2, 3, 4 on the low E string, or the 6th string. Then we're going to play open A string, 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing for every string. Except the B string, we're not going to play it open. 1st fret, and then open E string. Cool, that's the first part. We can play back down to. But then, so our next challenge is if we're not using the open strings, well, we compensate for that by whatever position we're in. Let's say I'm in 5th position, which means my first finger on the 5th fret. I'm going to play same thing, just in the position, first 4 frets. In this case, it's 5, 6, 7, 8. And then because we don't have our open string, I'm going to account for that by when I go to the next string, I stay in the position, but my first finger slides 1 fret back out of the position. And then we're going to slide it back into the position so we can be in the position where we started. So if I start on the 5th fret of the low E string, I'm playing. So I could just pick up my hand, move it to the next string, and then slide my first finger back from there. So it would have been on the 5th fret, I'm sliding it back to the 4th, and then I slide it back up to the 5th fret, and we continue from there. So we get slide it back, and then the same thing happens when we go to the next string. I can pick up my whole hand in the position, wherever my first finger is, goes back 1. So I reach out of the position, slide it back, and continue the scale. So far we've got reach out of the position, slide it back. Same thing for the next string, reach out of the position. Now here, just because same reason we wouldn't use the open string, I don't actually have to slide out to go from the G to the B string, so I just pick up my hand in the position, move it to the next string, and wherever my first finger is, that's the next note I play. So from the G to the B, it's just in the position. And then we continue our pattern as usual from here, so I have to reach out of the position, slide back into the position. So that's our other thing. Reach out, slide back, reach out, slide back, reach out, slide back, go straight up in the position, then we reach out and slide back. Now this is parallel. I could do it anywhere. If I started on the 8th fret, it would be the same. So I've got my first finger on the 8th fret, and I just, same thing. Reach out, slide back. Reach out, slide back. Reach out, slide back. Don't slide or reach, and then reach out and slide back. So that's how we can play our chromatic scale in any position. So we've got, with the open string, we just use the open string. Instead of sliding back, we can just play the open string. It's essentially the same as sliding back. And then if we're starting anywhere else, here I'll start on the 4th fret, slide, 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 don't, and then slide. So the other idea here is changing positions. So if we start on the low E string, I play changing positions. I go from my pinky to the next fret with my first finger. So in this case, I'm going from the 4th fret with my pinky, 5th fret, first finger, and then I continue. Once I finish that position, which again, it just means four fingers, 4 frets, we're switching positions again, from our pinky to our first finger, and continue. So we could do that on every string. It just works exactly the same on every string. If you didn't start on the 1st fret, if I start on the 3rd fret with my first finger, the same thing happens. I just play 4 frets, and then shift the position. Play the 4, shift the position. And on your cool guitar, you can go way higher. If I start on the 6th fret of the A string, same thing. And I can go below it as well. If there's a couple notes left, we can get out of the position. It doesn't really matter. Now, the challenge here is combining the positions. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to play the open E string and the first 4 frets. Then I'm going to change positions on this string. So I'm going to play with my first finger on the 5th fret. And now I want to switch strings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my whole hand up to the next string, but staying in the same position. And then we're going to move the whole thing back by 1. So instead of reaching like we did before and sliding back, we're going to reach, but then we're not going to slide back. We've shifted positions here. We've actually gone from 5th position with our finger on the 5th fret to 4th position. So we slide back and then we continue from here. So now I could continue up this string by switching positions on this string, and then we can do the same thing. I'm going to take my position, move it back 1 fret, or just reach back 1 fret and continue from there. And then we could do the same thing here, reach back, continue the position, change positions on this string. Then again, we don't have to reach back between G and B. And then I'm going to reach back to get to the E string, and now we're in this new position. So we're starting with the open E string, and we're either changing positions by moving on one string, which would be an entire shift of 4 frets, or we're changing positions when we switch strings, which is just a shift down 1 fret. A good place to start would be this, but we want to mix it up. So I'll play just what I did before. So we're on the E string, we're going to open E, first 4 frets, change positions on this string. Now we're going to change strings. So my first finger is on the 4th fret, and then we change the position staying on the string, change strings here. I'm gonna do another one on this string, so we're going to switch positions. Then I'm going to reach for the next one. Then I'm going to change strings, and then I reach for the next string. And that's one way to do it. Same idea going back, except we just have to reach the other direction. So my pinky is going to do the reaching. Pinky reaches. That was just pure luck that it lined up so that my first finger was on the 1st fret. But we want to be able to change it up. So we could stay on one string, play 3 positions on one string, and then switch strings. And then we could just continue switching strings until we get to the high E string, and then play up the E string as high as we can go, and then back down. You could go all the way down on the high E string, and then just play open strings the rest of the way. Or I could switch right away. I could play to the open A string and then continue up the open A or the A string and start switching positions. So the idea is, it doesn't really matter where you are. The principle always applies. We're either switching positions on a string or switching strings by going down 1 position. If I just continued going down, like let's say I start on the 5th fret and switch strings all the way, we're slowly going to get to the end of the low end of the guitar, because every time we have to move one back. That's why if you want to stay in one place, we have to do the slide. So those are the different ways through it. To round it all up, we're playing in one position, anywhere on the guitar, we're playing on one string. So for example, I'll do it on the B string. And then we're doing it across strings and up strings. So the entire range of the guitar, you can pick at this point wherever you want to switch, it doesn't really matter. See, I'm going a different way, going down. And there you have it. Hope that helps.